Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
I want him to do whatever he decides to do. And that's the way it is. Whatever he decides, we go with. I think it's really important, and I would hope everyone would join in, to let him deal with this NATO conference. This is a very big deal. Over 30 heads of state are here. He is the host of it, and that means not just hosting, it means orchestrating the discussion and setting the agenda, and he's doing so magnificently. And I've said to everyone, let's just hold off. Whatever you're thinking, either tell somebody privately, but you don't have to put that out on the table until we see how we go this week.
So that's not exactly a firm I gotcha, is it? I mean, if I were like hanging on by a fingernail and she said, well, let's just see how this goes, I wouldn't say this is somebody who has my back, right? Now, here's the thing. Tomorrow is a very important day. And I don't know how many people realize it, but you will. And just like when I say this, you'll go, oh, okay. Tomorrow is Joe Biden's very first unscripted appearance with the press corps. Tomorrow is Joe Biden's first press conference where he'll take questions and the press will grill him. They will ask probably 4,822 questions about his health. And then they will ask 3,952 questions about whether or not he's going to give it up. Then they will ask him why he's running for president. Why do you want to be president? Do you think you can beat Donald Trump? And nothing about policy, okay? And we're just going to have to sit there and watch and see if Joe Biden can, I don't know how else to put it, unbotox his face. Why did they go so crazy with the Botox on him? I really don't understand it. I mean, let a furrow in his brow appear. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, he just looks like he's horrified all the time. So tomorrow is a very key date in this American experiment known as democracy, and we're going to test the current president to see if he has what it takes to be the president for the next 4 years, or at least to run the campaign and become the next president, and then say, all right, America is protected, it's safe, it's free, I won, oh yay, Kamala, take it from here, and away we go. Do you know what I mean? Or we can actually start putting down the number of people who are calling for Joe Biden to give it up today. Yesterday, James Carville, and I watched his interview too, James Carville's interview. He's on a cruise ship in Alaska, okay? And he's on a good cruise ship. I think he's on Seabourn. Very expensive. It's not exactly, Holland America. No, it's big. It's very big. Anyway, he's calling it in. He's phoning it in from Alaska. And, he's obviously on a cruise ship doing homework. Okay, he's actually looking at the polls. He's looking at internal polls that he has access to that we don't. He's looking at, the state polls, which are really all that matter at this point, because he's trying to figure out whether or not 270 electoral votes can be put together by Joe Biden. And it doesn't look today as if that's the case. And that is frightening. It's scary. And when I watched his interview from the cruise ship, he was saying, we used to be the party of hope. We used to be a man from hope and, keep hope alive. And, I have a dream. It was all about hopefulness. He said he has no hope now. He just is without hope. Now, Carville's an older guy, too. OK, I deign to say he's 80 or pretty close to it. And he's, he seems like he's, got his crap together. So, but he is saying, I'll just read what he wrote. I don't want this to come from my mouth. I want this to come from James Carville's mouth. He said, this is in the New York Times yesterday. It was an op-ed. He said, and my dentist, it came across his phone. Swear to God. And he was like, James Carville just said Biden won't win. Democrats need a plan. could you let me get the 2x2 out of my mouth first before you tell me this? Because I'm going to, vomit. It's all I can do at this point. But that's exactly what the op-ed was called. It was called Biden Won't Win. Democrats Need a Plan. Here's one. He wrote this. Mark my words. Joe Biden is going to be out of the 2024 presidential race, whether he's ready to admit it or not. His pleas on Monday to congressional Democrats for support will not unite the party behind him. Mr. Biden says he's staying in the race, but it's only a matter of time before Democratic pressure and public and private polling lead him to exit the race. The jig is up, and the sooner Mr. Biden and Democratic leaders accept this, the better. We need to move forward. He said it can't be by anointing Vice President Kamala Harris or anyone else as the presumptive Democratic nominee. We have to put it out in the open. The exact opposite of what Donald Trump wants us to do. For the first time in his life, Mr. Trump is praying to win the White House and increase his chances of avoiding an orange jumpsuit. He needs Democrats to make the wrong moves in the coming days, namely to appear to rig the nomination for a fading president or sitting vice president or some other heir apparent. He needs to be able to type all caps posts about power brokers and big donors putting the fix in. He needs, in other words, for Democrats to blow it. We're not going to do that. We're going to nominate a new ticket in a highly democratic and novel way, not in the back rooms of Washington, D.C. or Chicago. We're at a stage where we need constructive ideas for how to move forward. Representative Jim Clyburn and the Times opinion columnist Ezra Klein have spoken about a Democratic mini primary, and I want to build on that. I want to see the Democratic Party hold 4 historic town halls between now and the Democratic National Convention in August, one each in the South, the Northeast, the Midwest, and the West. We can recruit the 2 most obvious and qualified people in the world to facilitate substantive discussions, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. They may not represent every faction under our party's big tent, but they care as much about our democracy as our nation's first president. They understand what it takes to be president, and they know how to win. Town halls, high-stakes job interviews for the toughest job in the world would surely attract television and cable partners and generate record numbers of viewers. Think the Super Bowl with Taylor Swift in the stands. The young, the old, everyone in between will tune in to see history being made in real time. Okay, I could go on. There's another 2 pages to this, but I think you get what he's saying, okay? I think you get that the Republicans want to televise and stream raids and SWAT teams arresting people as their new sport. Donald Trump would like to see immigrants beating the hell out of each other. He said so, okay? We would like to have our version of a sport, our version of a game show, apparently, where you would have sort of a little mini primary, and it would be televised for 4 days, one each in every region of the country, the North, the South, the East, and the West. And it would be moderated by either past presidents, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, which, is very interesting as choices. Or we could do what George Clooney wrote in the New York Times today. Yes. James Carville yesterday in the New York Times. Today, George Clooney in the New York Times with op-eds, both of them, suggesting we cannot go on this way. Time is of the essence, and we have to change the nominee. And the only way to do it is with what is now being called a Blitz primary. A Blitz primary. A scenario where Biden, of course, would have to say he's out, he's not running, which hasn't happened, and by all accounts isn't anything that Biden's interested in saying or doing, taking himself out. But he would have to, because he'd have to release all the delegates, because he's got almost 4,000 of them, and let them vote.
Clear.
Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to RandiRhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.